from the Workplace Ninja Summit in Baden. Smart talks, sharp insights, and stories worth sharing. This is the Workplace Ninja podcast.
Welcome on the Workplace Ninja Summit here in Baden. And now it's good. Now it's not gone black. We had some subtitles below the screen. That doesn't work. So let's continue this conversation. Alex, welcome.
It is day 3 and we're doing this for the third time. Whoop, whoop. You know?
That's it. My name is Frans Houdendorp and Alex
Benoit.
You're helping me with the difficult questions.
That's my job.
Let's try to get focus on the topics that we have. I think we have 6 recordings to do this day, including 3 or 4. I think it's 4 community stage sessions where sponsors have to present. But this day has already started early. I think it was 8:30 that we are starting with a keynote, a security keynote with Daniel. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Who are you, Daniel? Who are you? Please introduce yourself.
Okay. Yeah, I'm Daniel von Büren, working at Microsoft Switzerland as a Swiss security officer. So it means I talk a lot about the security topics with the customers and also helping them to make project possible. So looking about also about regulations, contracts, and making sure that they can go with the cloud and doing the projects that they want.
And how big is the AI part of that job?
Well, you know Microsoft. AI is just a little piece at the moment.
A little piece, okay. Wow. Okay.
No, AI is definitely a hot topic. And we see also that customers are kind of overwhelmed with the AI.
Right.
So AI just happening in organizations. And always when I talk to customers about, okay, how you manage their things, then there is not so much clearancy from the customer side. So I think that's one of the topics that we need to address.
Talking about AI in that's transforming businesses, but it also introduced some new risks, probably.
Yes.
What from your perspective, what are the biggest security challenges that organizations face in the AI era?
Yeah, so things that we see is definitely theft of data leakage, theft of information. So that's one of the challenges that customers have. Another one, also more from a technical point of view, that someone is able to misuse an AI solution to get information that it should not be. And finally, and that's maybe the worst topic for the Ninja Summit conference is all about compliance. But I think we skipped that topic for today. It's maybe not the most favorite topic.
Would be okay for me. I mean,
okay, yeah. Then let's talk about that.
Yeah, I think compliance is one of the important pieces of the things that we are managed nowadays.
Absolutely, and when you look at all, especially EU, how many regulations comes out and also the responsibilities that you take. And it's important that customers understand that, especially when they start to build their own solutions. As long as they use pre-built solution, that's fine, because then they at least can offload some of the responsibilities to the vendors. But when they build their own, that's maybe a different thing. And I think it would be interesting for customers to try to understand that, look how to handle those things.
Yeah. So we had a conversation yesterday on security co-pilot agents, where the guests that we have build their own plugins, agents.
Okay.
And I think that's what you mean, building your own stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. It could be from scratch. It could be based on something else. However, there is, as we have the responsibility framework, the shared responsibility framework, as we have it for cloud solutions or other topics, there's also one for AI, which we need to understand and need to understand what we have to adapt and do, especially when those regulations comes out, because that could also be a financial risk to not be aware of them.
Maybe it's possible that we, get some sort of order in the conversation, because order in terms of the perspectives that we're discussing. There was one slide that I really liked a lot, because explained the whole challenge in one graphic that you were spot on with, where you open the 4 angles of the AI challenges that organizations are facing. It was mobile data, it was multi-platform, it was multi-AI, and obviously Copilot. So maybe you can help a little bit, give a little bit more context on what you guys are seeing on the Microsoft side and how organizations should, start with the big picture and then thrill into the different use cases, solutions, and platforms, and even data streams that they have in their organization.
So yes, I think what's in our view important is that people get the understanding of the different angles for AI. For me, there is always so we have the security piece where we talk about multi-platform, multi-cloud, but also multi-AI and multi-data at the end also. Multi-AI for me is, and there is another angle of AI which is more how we use AI, especially in security, to make us more secure, to protect the environment. And that's good. For me, the multi-AI topic is still the one that is mostly uncovered, let me say it like this, because customers don't see, or they are overwhelmed with all this AI happening around them. And the problem is people just use them. So the end users are using them because they want to do a better job. They want to make an easier job, and that's absolutely understandable.
Is it even fair to say that here's the biggest part of shadow IT happening?
Yeah, and we call it shadow AI instead of shadow IT. Because for me, it was always shadow IT was not a topic that was really looked at from an IT point of view. Now when we talk with customers, the shadow AI is really a hot topic. And it comes in a direction where it starts to get uncontrollable. So I explained that also in my keynote. I talked to a customer which has international one, about 10,000 users, and they looked at what kind of shadow IT is happening in their organization. And they found close to 250 different generative AI applications actively used by their end users.
That's a lot.
That's
a bigger number than I would have expected.
If you would say, tell me 250 generative AI, I would have no chance.
Yeah, same here. There was an idea that I had as well.
It's way too much.
Yeah, now they started to manage that, so they started to block them, and now of course they get also pushback from the employees because they say, look, I did my job with that specific AI solution and it was great, it helped me to make that really effective. Now you say I can only use this and that AI solution, so how can I do the same thing that I did with this specific one now with the standard AI solutions? And he also said, look, now we are challenged, now we have to build. And now we're back to the build part. We have to build those kind of solutions based on agents or explaining the user how to do it. But I think that's, as longer you wait, as more things you have to manage at the end of the day.
Talking about building, there was also an angle that you were addressing. You were talking about responsibility, and I think everybody, when I saw that slide that you had, it reminded me on the pizza delivery thing. Remember that? When we're talking about infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and so on and so forth. Yeah, that was also a very good explanation of the responsibility with the different AIs. Maybe you can help us here as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we see is, the typical use cases that we see today is the use of pre-built AI solutions, and this could be ChatGPT, Gemini, or whatever. And for those, we can say, okay, this is more a platform a SaaS solution that we use. And in this case, you can load off the responsibility for. So then you're mainly the user that you have to train, and you have to explain what he is able to do and or what he can do with the solution, what not. But you don't care about the model in the back or the platform in the back, how that goes to the vendor. On the other side, if you build your own one and really think about, you can either use a pre-built AI model or you really build it from scratch because you have a very specific use case. Then you have to take more of those responsibilities, which then really results in that shared responsibility for AI, which is nearly the same like the pizza example. So you have to, as more you do by your own, as more responsibility goes with you.
What should I do as a customer to prepare?
Yep, that's one of the difficult ones. Can we skip that? No.
Okay, next one.
No, look, I think one of the biggest challenge that when I talk to customers is always about, look, yes, of course, we have built some permissions, and not everybody can access all the information. And so that works great. However, they still know it's not perfect. And now the risk that they see is if you have AI, you may suddenly get some information you should not. Mm-hmm. So maybe you have suddenly find an Excel file with salary information, and then you have some strange discussions internally. So, of course, one of the things that I see is really looking at that permission to make sure. What also helps is trying to understand where is your critical data, where not. So we still see too many information in organizations, and organizations don't understand what are really the crown jewels. So that's always a little bit surprising for me. I think identify those crown jewels and then looking there if the protection is right. Maybe also using things like labeling and then protect the information based on labels. That could be a good starting point. And just to be clear, don't try to make a perfect solution because that's a never-ending one. For me, it's invest this 20% to reach this 80% of solution, and then you start with that. And then you will find something which is not good, and then you fix it.
Out of curiosity, it wasn't something that you mentioned in your talk, but as you were just explaining it, I was wondering, do you have have you seen any approach in any organization that you were talking to where that identification of the crown jewels worked well, and maybe do you have a idea of how can we start? Huh? Sorry again?
A silver bullet?
Yeah, exactly. A silver bullet. Yeah, we take that. I mean, if you have it.
If I have a silver bullet, I think I don't have to work anymore.
Yeah.
No, I think that's definitely one of the challenges. For me, it's really talking. So the only thing that I see is, in a lot of cases, IT is not really aware what are those things. And so I think here we really have to have a discussion between the business and maybe also business leaders together with IT. Mm-hmm. I always try to say, look, you should not be the stakeholder or the driving person for such kind of projects when it comes to data protection and crown jewels identification. You should be the one which has the tools to help the business, but it should be a need from the business. And yes, I think you also have to integrate people like a CFO or people from the CEO, whatever, and get the buy-in from them. Because then you can do something from top to down versus you try to do something from the IT team and you build something. That normally is something that does not work. Yeah. But it's not silver bullet.
Makes sense, yeah.
Is it the same story that repeats a bit? Not the story that you're telling, but when I look back in the days when SharePoint Search came out, then data was searchable. Then people made to argue, you need to make aware of the rights that people have on that platform. And then there was some app in M365 that give you all the data where you're collaborating with. Yep. I don't know the name anymore, but
it was Delph, isn't it?
It was Delph. That's what I mean. And then now we have AI. It does more or less the same, but the data is still not
automated.
But the data is still not structured. So if we haven't done it back in the days, we still have a problem, and we need to take care of that.
Yeah, and I think for me it's really something that we ignored a long time, and I think so now AI just gives the pressure to do things and really to go in that direction. So what I see from a Microsoft side, we push out more of those tools helping you to identify such things. So identify really where you have shared information which is maybe outside of the organization, or things that you said, okay, it's critical, but it's still shared. Especially for Copilot, we also did some tweaks in the system. So we created now a new DLP policy, which allows you to say, look, Copilot can act with all the data, but not with the sensitive ones. But then you still need to label those information so the system knows this is sensitive, because else it's difficult. So at some point in time, you need to do this homework, and it does not work without. And I think we now have just the pressure that we really have to do that. We maybe have ignored it in the past because we then looked for ways to disable Delph instead of doing the job to make sure that people only see the data that they should. Now, with AI, it gets maybe even more critical.
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned end-to-end security, right? End-to-end security as a platform. What makes Microsoft's approach unique compared to point solutions that are in the market?
I think, so for me it was always fun when we started with our security journey, and we were late in the market. We always talked about this platform, and everybody laughed at us and said, hey, look, nobody wants to have a platform. Everybody is looking for best of breed. Today I see the other way around. So I think a lot of our competitors, which have great tools, just to be very clear, they now starting to build this platform approach as such. What I like in Microsoft is really security was also something where we had to work way closer together and bring things together, and we're not perfect there, let's be very clear. For me, it was also surprising that when it comes to securing of AI workloads, we did not build a new solution or suite and said, hey, dear customer, here is a new SKU to buy. It's really more that we said, look, let's integrate that in the tools that are already there to make more value out of them. Now, what I see it now as also my job is to make sure that people understand that those tools are there and how to use them, how they can benefit from them.
Well, sorry, no, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was wondering, did you have any additional takeaways from a keynote this morning? Because I really felt it was super on point, because it actually had it made the major mission of a keynote, I think, very precisely to really envision on new things. So were there things that you really said that this is like the super important or most important thing that people should have taken out of my keynote in terms of what tomorrow I'm back in my organization, what shall I do first? Talking to my manager, reduce the number of AIs, or what is it?
Yeah. No, for me it's really the main message for me is it's time to start looking at and acting. And it's, for me it's not so important. So it's more that you get an understanding, okay, yes, there is something that we may have to have a closer look and then start to think about how we act. And of course, there are tools that you may already have. Fine if you use them. If you have others or competitive solutions, also good. But for me, it's really this time to act, because I think as longer we wait, as more difficult it becomes.
I had another question regarding that. What do you see, if we look further? What do you see of the future of AI-driven security? Will that be fully autonomous, or
how many defenders will we get? Is the question, right?
That can be.
Okay, I'm happy that you did not ask about what's the cost for that. Additional
licensing is the next question. Yeah.
No, look. What we see in the market is mainly that we have not enough security people. So that's the main problem that we have. And I see also for my customers, or also when I talk to partners which are in that space, it's very difficult to find those experts that you really need. So the future that I see is that we will have more specific AI agents, which starts to, it's maybe a little bit futuristic, but it starts to be people that working with you in a SOC team, but they are just virtual. And they do other tasks than you do. I don't think that we will replace physical people, but I think we can offload some of those workloads which an AI can do, and then we can use the people for the more, I always say, where you really need the brain.exe, and not just having something which you can automate. And I really see it like this. So we would have more agents, specific agents that can do specific tasks, but also work with other agents maybe to hand over things. And that we can imagine that like employees working the SOC team. And so we can just, that's my hope, that we can then bring that problem down of we have not enough security people.
Interesting. If you don't mind, I have two more questions that I'd like to address. Yesterday we had Sami on the podcast. You were
I was thinking the same approach.
Okay. So I have two questions basically. We had Sami on the podcast, and he was talking about the state of the nation when it comes to security.
Okay.
And as the Microsoft Digital Defense report is, I think, around the corner, it should be somewhere here in October. That's at least what history tells us. Two questions that come up to my mind. First of all, what do you think will be, the big news in the upcoming MDDR report from your perspective? Anything? I mean, that's a very geopolitical conversation that we're heading towards. And we are in Switzerland, so I would love to hear what is the Swiss perspective on the state of the nation for cybersecurity. Is there anything that is maybe a little bit different, as you as a country also have a different positioning in the world? So these two questions would be super interesting to me.
Okay. First of all, Switzerland is neutral. That helps.
We know, yeah.
No, just joking. Look, what I see, I also have the honor to talk to the NCC in Switzerland. Mm-hmm. And we talk a lot about what's the security in Switzerland and how do we handle that. I think a big difference that we have is we have a mind shift of sharing information. So from Switzerland, it's not so much and that much is very good for me also with Microsoft. So what we try to do at the moment is we try to bring more of those signals also to the NCC, the National Cybersecurity Center, to then distribute this information again to all the organizations and organizations within Switzerland. And I joked about the neutrality, but I also, and that's a little bit my thing that I see, is I would like to see that Switzerland could be a kind of a role model to also invest in future collaboration, security collaboration across Switzerland and also across other countries. Because what we see, it looks like that a lot of organizations in other countries are looking more for themselves, how to 100%. Protect it for this specific country. And what I feel when I talk to the Swiss guys, they're really looking for this reference project to also bring security signals from different vendors, stakeholders, countries together and then make most sense out of it.
That's a very emotional moment for us, Franz, don't you think? Because it's also encouraging and embracing the community effort and idea that I like a lot. Yeah, and from a bigger perspective, what do you think is going to be the big announcement? Or we are always looking for the big announcement. I'm sorry for that, but I was just thinking: is there anything that you expect to be different in this MDDR than last year?
So what I have seen in the last one, we just touched this AI topic. And look, those things are also new for us, for everyone. And we see more and more what it really means and how we have to react on it. I would expect, without that I know it, I would expect that this chapter would have more space and more data, more information in there. We were very high level in the last one because it was also a very early perspective that we had. Now I guess that we will have more insights there and also more information how to handle those things. Well, also what can we do from a Microsoft side? What could others do? Because that's the idea. I would say we will definitely see more on that. The other topics for me is when I look backwards to the other. So the signals are more or less similar over the last few years. It's
steady
still work
increase,
with
right?
We still work with the same things, and let's see.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for being here, giving the insights to some other people as well on the topics that we touched in the keynote. So thanks.
Yeah, that's great.
And if you listen or viewing, I think we are up to some other sessions as well. We have probably some security topics, but also Intune and management. And we're up to a community stage session with Akos on, I think it will be something like OSD Cloud and deployment. So let's have an eye on that. That will also be published afterwards on our YouTube channels. Keep an eye on our social media channels. And I say until next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining the Workplace Ninja podcast. Stay curious, stay connected, and keep sharpening your ninja skills. Until next time.